Thank you so much, dear Roberta. Welcome to Finland. It's great to have you here. Finland is a committed member of the European Union, and we are also close friends personally. We consider you as one of our own, even though, of course, you represent all Europeans in the Parliament. But I want to thank you and say that you have done an excellent work in the Parliament. You have been an encouraging leader. Thank you for that. Finland values the work of the European Parliament greatly. European citizens can truly trust that the Parliament represents directly them and their interests. We naturally discussed today the situation in Ukraine, as well as European cooperation and the next European Parliament elections. After Russia's aggression to Ukraine, the foundations of European security have shaken. Finland and Sweden have both joined NATO, and Europe is ramping up its defence industry, which is crucial at this moment. This is the way we have to continue. Russia is growing ever more aggressive, and they are preparing for a long conflict with the West. We cannot be naive. We have to prepare ourselves for the next 10 years. As we approach the next European Parliament elections in June, set against this new security framework, the role of Finnish MPs and indeed all members in the European Parliament becomes even more critical. I dare to say that these European elections are the most important since the beginning of our membership in 1995. Thank you, dear Roberta, for joining us here in Finland and for your continued leadership and dedication to the European project. Your presence here today is a testament to the strong bonds that unite us and the shared resolve to face the challenges ahead together. Next week, I'll travel to Strasbourg and I will address the plenary. I am looking forward to exchange ideas how to go about the future of the European Union, our union. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Hyvää päivää, dear Prime Minister, dear Petteri. Thank you for your kind words and for your warm welcome to Finland. It is lovely to be in beautiful Helsinki today. I am particularly happy to be back here. This is my family's second home country at a time when Finland is actively participating in strengthening Europe's security. In Brussels, we have taken note of the Finnish government's proactive EU policy. We need and appreciate your contributions. And dear Prime Minister, I am grateful for your leadership and for your personal commitment to our project. I am currently visiting EU member states in order to increase awareness about the European elections and to encourage people, particularly young people, to vote. I am here to listen to the concerns and expectations of Finnish people. After the 9th of June, there will be 720 members of the European Parliament coming to Brussels, 15 from Finland, one more than in the current legislature. Who those people are and what they stand for is in your hands. They will shape policies and adopt legislation that affect all of Finland and Europe and affect all of us. It is up to you to choose, to vote. In the last European elections, only around 40% of Finnish voters went to the ballot box. And I hope that this time, especially in complete alignment with the Prime Minister's words, even more Finnish people will make their voice heard because of the importance of this election, especially with the war raging on our borders. So my message to Finnish voters is this: do not let anyone decide for you. Do not take Europe for granted. And in addition to the European elections, of course, we discussed with the Prime Minister Europe's continued support to Ukraine, our common security and the rule of law. Finland's bilateral support to Ukraine has been outstanding in humanitarian aid, but especially in defence material. Ukraine is fighting also for our European values, and our support will continue for as long as it takes. As a member of NATO and the European Union, Finland will never be alone again. We will remain united and stand firmly against Russia's aggression. You have shown to Europe and to the world that we will not waver. Improving comprehensive security in Europe is truly our common objective. We are in this together, and that means that Europe's security must be a key pillar of our strategic autonomy. Ultimately, that is our investment in peace. I would also like to commend Finland's long-standing commitment for the respect of the rule of law in the European Union. Finland and the European Parliament were essential for the introduction of the rule of law mechanism and the conditionality regulation. Our Europe must be one that stands up for values, for democracy, for freedom, even when this is difficult or where it is under threat. In a Europe where war is no longer unthinkable and fewer people live in a democracy, our Europe must truly be the superpower of rights, of freedoms and prosperity. Thank you very much, and very much looking forward to having you next week in Strasbourg. Warm welcome in advance for a debate on This is Europe, and your vision and how you see Finland and Europe for the next 5 years will be extremely important for us to listen to and debate on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we go into the questions, and we start with the Finnish News Agency, please.
Hello, Sanna Raitaho, Finland's news agency. Robert, this is for Roberta Metsola especially. Today there was an interview published in Helsingin Sanomat where you were speaking about the possible changes in European Parliament after the election. There are some parties who have been a bit more critical or hesitant with the Ukraine aid, who might now gain lots of seats in the parliament. But you were saying that you are still not worried about that EU support for Ukraine would decline. So could you open a little bit why you are not worried about that, even though parliament would change? Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, and the question that I was asked, and I will give the same answer today, is that I will not speculate on the outcome of the election. Rather, I am here to convince as many Finnish people today, as because I'm in Finland, as I'm doing in all member states, to vote in the European elections, to not take the outcome for granted, to not let others decide for them, and to vote to build and construct our project rather than to destroy it. This is the mandate I was given when I was elected President of the European Parliament, and it is the mandate I continue to have at a time when, 2 years into the war, we have managed to keep a solid majority, quasi-unanimity, I would say, on Ukraine. Why do I say quasi-unanimity? Because whereas for many other issues, the Parliament is quite usually split, this is an outcome of democratic votes and debates, but that pro-European constructive majority has also been joined by almost every single member of the European Parliament that has been asked by its citizens to help Ukraine. And it was more of a bottom-up process that we saw. Members directly elected by their citizens who were asked to do more. And that is the same spirit that we continue to have if you see vote after vote. And it is that cautious optimism, if not hope, that I would like to see and that I think we will see after June. That does not mean that the next parliament will be easier to manage than the current one. What we will have to expect is that, of course, majorities are always difficult to find, but if you enter those negotiations with actors who want to build rather than destroy, actors that would have built a campaign based on hope rather than on fear, then I think we can really be the true partner of member states in the next 5 years to continue to legislate in the interest of all European people, including Finns.
Okay, thank you. I think MTV3 was next.
Yeah, Alek Neihum, MTV News. My question is that the Finnish Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Kivinen, today said that he personally thinks that 2% of the GDP goal about the defense budget, even achieving the goal wouldn't be enough to help to achieve what we want in Europe, meaning probably the victory for Ukraine. So my question for both of you is that is 2% enough? First, Mr. Orpo.
Thank you very much. Very important question. It's true that we have to do much more in Europe. Every single member state have to do more to ramp up defense industry capacity, military capacity, because the threat of Russia has increased and it's increasing all the time. They are preparing themselves for the long-term war with Ukraine. But we have to understand that in the long term it's real threat also to Europe. That's why we have to invest more in defense and prepare ourselves. Is 2% enough? Maybe at first every country in the NATO and every European member state should use that 2%. It would be a huge amount of money. We are taking our share, and I think that 2% is enough for us because we are very well prepared before. But first, every single country should use that 2%.
So to add, and of course I will make a difference between NATO and the European Union there, because what we have called as a European Parliament is for the creation of a true security and defence union that complements rather than competes with NATO, for member states to be able to protect themselves and each other. It is a discussion that is taking place not only in member states that are in NATO, but also member states that are not. In 2022, 24th of February, or I would say that morning of the 24th of February, we woke up to the realization that there were a large number of states, members of NATO, that had been underspending, lower than the 2%, and of course that would be the call, that the targets are met. What we also realized on the 24th of May 2022 is how to use the European Peace Facility, where member states could collaborate in their efforts, whether with defence instruments, humanitarian capacity, peacekeeping ways, in order for us to be better protected. Now we have to move between protection and preparedness. And I very much value Finland's leadership in saying that we need to be prepared. Because for many years, countries like Finland were telling us to do that, and we weren't. Many years, countries that have Russia as a border or Ukraine as a border had been telling us that there is something we need to be alarmed by, and we weren't. So I think it is good that we were having this conversation, this discussion, looking forward to the forthcoming European Council meetings where Prime Ministers, heads of state and government can come together and see where do we go next, being prepared for everything, and especially about the fact that the European Union could find itself alone as we go further towards a protracted war on our continent.